Hey guys, so today I'm going to be talking about Doctor Who, the Dalek Invasion of Earth. This, of course, is season 2, episodes 4 through 9. In my opinion, for what I've seen, the best story in William Hartnell's era of Doctor Who. I absolutely love this story. We've had a couple stinkles for the last couple of weeks of me watching it, but this one is amazing. So, it's only a matter of time that the Daleks are going to be brought back. They were so popular in England back in, when they first appeared, season 1. It makes sense for them to be brought back in season 2. And they are back and better than ever. So this improves upon the Dalek story, the original Dalek story, in almost every single way. The Daleks feel much more threatening. We have bigger stakes. It reminds me of the movie Aliens, how, it's a lot more tense and action-packed than the first Alien, though I do love the first Alien. So, the Doctor, Ian, Barbara, and Susan land on Earth, and they're like, oh cool, we're finally home. Nope. Turns out they have arrived about 200 years into the future, and it's like this desolate wasteland. So they're figuring out what happened, and we see the little Dalek come out of the river, which is one of the most iconic scenes in Doctor Who. Still holds up well today. I love that scene. It's so tense and spooky. If only the episode wasn't called The Dalek Invasion of Earth, that would have been a huge shocker. So the Daleks want to get rid of the Earth's core and use the Earth as a spaceship. Now this doesn't make any sense to me, though I am not a scientist. I don't know, could that be a thing? If anybody in the comments is good at science, tell me. But, has Doctor Who ever made sense? Still a great episode, though. One of the most iconic scenes is when Barbara and she's like pushing this man in a wheelchair, and they're running away from the Daleks, and they're chasing him through all these, all these famous London landmarks. It only makes use of the story's location scenes, because up until now we haven't had that many. So it's, very, you could tell they put a lot of budget into this episode of her being chased throughout London. It's a really great scene. It's as memorable as the shop dummies escaping in Spearhead from Space, or the Cybermen walking through the streets and the invasion. Scenes like this have their place in Doctor Who history. This is also the final episode to feature Carol Ann Ford as Susan, who I actually met a couple months ago at the Chicago TARDIS convention. That's me, my dad, and Carol Ann, who played Susan. She was actually really nice, by the way. And unlike most departures in Classic Who, I think this one was handled with a lot of care. I feel like the Verity Lambert era in particular, as well as the Barry Letts era, really much cared about their characters, and her departure wasn't just out of nowhere. It was set up in advance. Throughout most of season 1, in stories like the Censorites or Marco Polo, Susan often longs for a desire to belong somewhere, to have a place of a time of her own, instead of just wandering from one place to another. And in this story, she falls in love with this guy named Stephen, I believe. And, she's like, I want to stay with you, but I gotta look after grandfather. And the doctor makes a controversial decision to just fucking kick her out of the TARDIS. Which, yes, denies her some agency, but also he feels like it's time for her to leave the nest, become her own woman. And it's a very sweet send off, because you could tell that Carol Ann Ford and William Hartnell you could tell they got along good behind the scenes, because there was this tenderness in those scenes together, especially in the last episode. And William Hartnell does a really good performance as he says goodbye to her through that, through screen, and it's one of his greatest performances as the Doctor, in my opinion. He's, it shows how far he's come from this grumpy old man. We get this tender side of him, and he just wishes the best for his grandchild. And Carol Ann Ford is also really good here. Kind of the shock and betrayal she has, but as well as the acceptance in a way, as he puts the keys down and walks away, kind of shows her finally becoming an adult. It's just a very powerful scene, even 60 years later, and extremely memorable. Now the Doctor says, "One day I shall come back." He never came back. That's the only problem I have with it. 60 years, he never came back. Now, Russell, if you're watching this, it's not too late. Carol Ann Ford's still doing pretty good. You could bring her back. I know she came back for the Five Doctors, but he didn't really come back for her. They just ran into each other. That's different. We gotta have him come back. But yeah, overall, very memorable story. Hits emotionally, intense. The visuals are pretty good. The budget's looking pretty good. Everything fits into place in this episode, and it's a certified Doctor Who classic in my opinion. So yeah, let me know down in the comments below what you guys thought of the Dalek invasion of Earth. Do you think it's one of the best Dalek stories of all time? Do you think they should have used the Robo-Men more? Because yes, while they have a stupid name, seems like a pretty good concept. I think Moffat did his own version of them with the Dalek puppets, so maybe we could have Robomen and Dalek puppets, make a little crossover. I don't know. It's out of my hands. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. And I'll be talking about the rescue and the Romans next week. So subscribe below if into any of that. I'm making other videos probably in the meantime. So until then, peace.